Rise and shine, sleepyhead. It's time to grind. That's right, today is the day I'm going to play that teeny tiny DLC that Ninja Kiwi has been working on for a little while. But seriously, ever since they announced Rogue Legends, I was extremely hyped since it's based around one of my favourite game genres, roguelikes. Now I don't talk about other games in this channel because, you know, but roguelikes were my childhood. From my totally legal copy of Enter the Gungeon, to an ever-expanding wall on my desktop, I can't get enough of them. But now with Rogue Legends in my hands, this is where the fun begins. So be prepared as we embark on the wildest of journeys, where I will perform the most ludicrous feats and massive blunders as I gamble away my sanity for a victory. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Before I started my run, I had to pick a hero, and while base Quincy was tempting, I wanted to specialise my run around beast handlers and druids. But considering how specific my requirements are, it didn't take me that long to find what I wanted. No fucking way. But neither Quincy nor the relic provided a top path beast, which was what I was looking for. So I consulted the community wiki to see if a hero had one. And surprise surprise, Ocean Open started with a Barracuda, along with a Mermonkey and a portable lake relic. So I selected him as my hero. For relics, I picked up Wacky Wibbly Wavy since I planned to use Razor Rotors for the early game. And I picked up the Sniper one since the other relics didn't look too appealing, and I can always trade it away later. With setup out of the way, I spawned myself in on the map where I was greeted with my first boss, Dread Bloon. But immediately after the reveal, I realised one very small detail. Wait, there was a second 10? Oh no. But as Bob Ross once said, we don't make mistakes, we have happy accidents. And luckily, I chose the good path, since it had all the challenge tiles, along with the same number of chests and encounters. The only thing I was losing out on was the 2 extra merchant tiles, but I didn't really have tokens to spend anyway. Since Orca lacks camo detection for DDTs, I decided to roll for a decamo monkey. And out of the 5 monkeys, I had 3 options. But with one having the bad cross path, and the other being bad period, I went with the wizard. I then started moving, and ran into my first encounter. Hedge. Obviously, it was a breeze given the monkeys I had, but the bloon encounter was on top of a chest, so I cracked it open and picked up the Zig then Zag relic, since it makes my heli starts even wackier. But the chest decided it wasn't done giving me relics, and gave me a second set of options for some godforsaken reason. Wait, is this a glitch? Well, I'm not complaining. So I took the engineer relic that turns bloons into gold. Moving further down the path, I fought another encounter in Monkey Town, and the Bloonarius mini-boss, in which I managed to score a silver swelling spike relic. I then had another encounter on Middle of the Road, where I learnt something special about the engineer relic. Wait, the cleansing foam also applies the gold effect? Yeah, I'm definitely going to be using it now. I then faced my first least cash tile, in which I meticulously picked the right towers, while remaining under the limit. Well, that's what I thought, but I kind of made a small calculation error and missed the goal by $225. I knew it. I shouldn't have placed open. Hear me out, it was 11 PM at night, so I was a little cooked. But that was kind of annoying, even if the relic options weren't that good to begin with. I had another encounter, and then I took on my second boss, Blastopopoulos. While I was a bit concerned about my previous fight with Bloonarius, I managed to secure another silver relic, in which I picked up Slower is Harder. The next bloon encounter was also rather uneventful, but it was guarding a chest, in which I picked up an upgraded version of the Engi relic, thinking I could sell the weaker one later. God, I was wrong. I also attempted a race on Carved, but I quickly found out I didn't have the right monkeys for this, so I had another happy accident and got nothing. I also got the Sticky Situation relic from a nearby chest, and battled 4 more encounters with the usual cleansing foam and heli strat. However, I had to slowly introduce an Orca into the strategy as BFBs and ZOMGs started showing up. I then used my second campfire to mentor my Barracuda into a shark, which made it cheaper and more efficient for building beast power. I took on the last 2 encounters, but to spice things up, I focused on giving the orc a range, which led to it dragging ZOMGs from halfway across the map. Funniest thing I've seen in a while. The third campfire was used to upgrade the Wacky Wibbly Wavy relic, and I bought the Alchemist relic from the shop. But now with all the tiles explored, it's time to fight Dreadbloon. I was lucky that it's on Tinkerton, so line of sight wasn't a problem. But it didn't take away that it was a tough fight. On the first attempt, I tried using Orca and Razor Rotors, which went okay for a while, until a bunch of camo regrow fortified ceramics beat the shit out of me. I tried again with better camo ceramic defense, but the military immune rock balloons overwhelmed me. On attempt 3, I tried using Arcane Spike as my DPS, but with me being impatient and using fast forward, it costed me another life. I then made another happy little accident on attempt 4, but I managed to escape before losing a life. Attempt 5 was the round I got my shit together and used a combination of Razor Rotors, Shark, and Arcane Spike to clear all the immunities and send Dreadbloon back into the ground. I then picked up the boss relic because the instas weren't the monkeys I was looking for, and I sent the bonus to stun relic home because I didn't plan to use it, but I didn't want to waste it either. But with one of the tougher bosses of this run eliminated, it's time to head into stage 2. Not wanting to repeat the happy accident I made in stage 1, I scoured the whole map to confirm that there is only one spawn point. Thank God. And I discovered that the next boss we're going up against is FaZe. But before we get into that, sleepy time. And when I woke up, Ninja Kiri released the 47.1 patch. As a quick TLDR, Red Bloon encounters were made shorter, Bloonarius was weakened, heroes are now no longer useless, and Splody Darts was nerfed. So after recouping my senses, I got back into action. Now for the second round of encounters, you think I would spice things up and use another strategy. Yeah, nah, Razor Rotors and Orca are the dream team. There is absolutely nothing that can beat them. Right? Okay, to avoid sounding like a broken record, I'm going to refrain from mentioning regular tiles from now on. However, the second one was sparkly, so let's see what I got. No, maybe, no. Yeah, I just picked up the pink cushion and moved on. I then fought a Bloonarius boss rush tile, which was fine until this happened. What? Oh, did those... Oh, come on. Luckily, that blunder didn't matter, since I got a legendary anyway, and I picked up Splody Darts because the other two were either useless or nerfed my setup. I accidentally skipped the first challenge tile because I was oblivious. However, the second one was an endurance race, in which I totally didn't repeat being too greedy, just before getting the reward. Moving on, I fought Bloonarius for a second time, getting shafted again for a completely different reason. I swear to God, I'm going to admit I had a skill issue. That was totally what I was going to say. I then went on a little shopping spree, along with using 2 rest sites to pick up a Super Monkey fan club and upgrade my Beast Handler relic. But that was the point I started slipping. I lost a life on Lotus Island because I forgot to get proper camo detection. So in response to that, I locked in Steam Spring and spent a solid 40 minutes microing an Orca and Razor Rotors to clear a bunch of tough waves, only to lose 4 rounds before the end. So I skipped it. But now with 1 life remaining, I was on thin ice. I had to beat 2 Bloon encounters and the boss before I gained access to the next rest tile, so I had to play my cards perfectly to keep this run alive. Before heading into my next encounter, I collected the Unspoken Heroes relic from a chest that makes support monkeys crit at the cost of hero XP, and given how fast the Orca attacks, it was extremely effective. But during the later rounds, it caused my frames to tank. However, my suffering didn't last that long though, since an incident occurred. No, is this the end? It's the end. No! Despite the way I sounded, I was fine. Sort of. So I took a break, touched some grass, and came back to grind some more. For the next run, I chose Scientist Gwen because I thought her loadout looked cool, and I kept re-rolling the first tile until I got my hands on a good DPS monkey. And after a couple of attempts, I managed to roll a crossbow monkey with the good cross path. Not learning from my mistakes, I decided to go with the long path, since I wanted a shot at a couple of legendary relics. However, I only managed to get one from a least cash tile, which gave primary monkeys a significant range increase at the cost of projectile speed. I also picked up some other relics, most of which I already got in my first run, but I also managed to score a silver corrosive torpedo darts, which makes my subs apply bloon liquid fire glue. But you may ask, why am I going so fast with this one? It's because spamming sharpshooters was a flawed strategy. Since I took one of the longest routes, the bloon encounters were scaling into the 40s, where swarms of DDTs were common. And my only form of lead popping power was AMD and Gwen's heated up. So after losing a few lives, and a very close shave on 1-2 tree, I decided I needed some form of DDT popper to keep this run going. So I gathered what little luck I had left and... well, shit. Given how fast these runs go, I wouldn't be able to afford 17k and camo detection. So there's another 2 hours down the drain. Damn, this new round scaling has hands. I thought the 47.1 patch would make encounters shorter, but really, they made them harder and longer if you take on too many per stage. So as I was preparing for the next run, I realised what I was doing wrong. Instead of making a build that counters DDTs, how about I just get the fuck out of there before they show up? And that was my game plan from now on. Take the shortest route and pray it doesn't scale to round 35. But to ensure I don't die as easily to DDTs, I decided to bring along Brickle. Why, you may ask? Well, at level 5, Brickle's Naval Tactics ability grants normal damage to all water monkeys in her radius, and at level 8 it also gives them camo detection. And when combined with her strong starting lineup, Mega Mine, and Bouncing Projectiles relic, I had the recipe for a solid loadout that can take down pretty much anything. So I spawned into the map to be greeted by Vortex, in which I temporarily turned British. Oh, thank heavens, an easy boss. I then used the campfire to upgrade my 101 sub to a 201 because I wanted to make a decamo sub cheaper, and then I went through my plan with taking the shortest route. Before getting into my first encounter, I was rewarded with a chest, in which I was blessed with one of the best relics in the game. No fucking way, that's a definite cop. Having an extra option provided to me whenever I was adding a monkey or relic to my party was very powerful, given I was running off fewer challenge tiles and chests. When I reached my second rest site, I rolled for another party member, in which I took the Super Monkey in hopes I could later mentor it into a Dark Knight. Moving on, I picked up the Swelling Spikes and Dream Team's relic from the chests, and purchased the Silver Druid relic from Geraldo's shop. So when I finally went up against Vortex, I was more than ready. To avoid the stun killing me, I split my defences into 3 sections, but even then, Vortex didn't even get close to leaving the first quarter of the map. The Insta-Monkey selection on the reward screen were a complete joke, so I just picked up the Vortex relic, and chose not to extract anything because I needed all the relics. However, the second stage didn't look like it was going to be as easy. I know Bloonarius was nerfed in 47.1, but with the large map, I was concerned I was going to fight super beefy ceramics. But luckily, I found a path with only 6 encounters, 2 of which were sparkly, that later gave me the bigger beacon relic and an Archmage insta with the mill cross path. I also picked up a silver Zig then Zag and Cornered Beast relics from 2 boss rush tiles, mentored my Super Monkey to a 201, and gathered a couple of other relics along the path. But now heading into Bloonarius, I had to be careful, since I needed a perfect balance of DPS and ceramic cleanup to ensure I don't lose Go Gadget Archmage. Never mind. So I then picked up the Bloonarius relic and spontaneously decided to send it home. Damn, I hope that doesn't have any unforeseen consequences later on. But moving to stage 3, I upgraded my Dream Team relic, picked up a few more relics from various sources, collected an anti-bloon for the memes, along with mentoring my sub to a submergent support, and my other super monkey into an 010. But now, Blastopopolis. Yeah, I might have had a couple of happy little accidents with this one, but the combination of an 020 super monkey, an artillery battery, and mega mines, I managed to beat the boss. After the fight, I picked up the Blastopopolis relic and sent the Alchemist relic home for a future run. Now on to stage 4, we're going against our old nemesis, Dreadbloon. The route was literally the shortest and most uneventful compared to the previous stages, but as a quick summary, I got a few relics, fought my first advanced map, had a heart attack on Midnight Mansion since I was forced to skip it, and Geraldo's shop didn't provide me anything to help me. But when going up against Dreadbloon, I was extremely lucky to get it on Scrapyard, so I comboed it out of existence with an Archmage, Brukel's Mines, and a fleet of monkey pirates. I took the Dreadbloon relic and sent abundant choices home, since I'll get more value from it during future runs. Stage 5 was an interesting change of pace. The first campfire was sparkling, in which I quickly found that it can restore all of your hearts if you rest there. I then spammed some druids on the Dreadbloon boss rush tile, which quickly got out of hand. I don't know how much more my PC can take. Most of the encounters were on advanced or expert maps, which were also fairly easy thanks to druid spam. During my travels, I also got some other relics, mentored my super monkey into a Dark Knight, and skipped Geraldo's shop yet again. But before heading towards the boss, Ninja Kiwi decided to do a little trolling with the last encounter. Are you fucking serious? I trudged through a bunch of advanced and expert maps, and the final map I go against is Cubism. Cubism? What the fuck? Well, at least I could AFK it. Mostly. I then picked up the nerf Splody Darts from a chest, and bought anything that remotely gave me a buff from Geraldo's shop. And then, I headed towards FaZe. Oh god. Why? Why? Yeah, if you're not aware, I'm not a big fan of Adora's Temple. And since I was forced to use Dark Knights and Monkey Pirates because decamo is useless, this was going to be a tough fight. But without further ado, let's fight FaZe. Oh. Oh. Yeah, that bad was too tanky. How about I optimize my DPS a bit, and maybe I'll beat it before it shows up. Well shit. If only I had a relic that allowed tier 3 monkeys to do 1.5 times the damage to mob class bloons. Or, you know, use the village and bit the 50% uptime. But after 5 to 6 hours of grinding, my mind was kind of cooked and made the biggest fumble of this video and reset the campaign. The following morning, I came to the realization that I didn't try using the village, and quickly regretted doing that. However, there is nothing I can do now, so I grabbed some relics and jumped straight back into it. Yeah, I don't feel like doing this whole explaining thing again, so how about we just skip to... There we go. The run was pretty similar to the previous one anyway, so you didn't miss much. The only major differences are that I replaced monkey pirates with destroyers, and I earned a lot more legendary relics by obliterating challenge tiles. I was also lucky enough to get a legendary campfire at the start of stage 4, so I had a legendary copy of the druid relic as well. But now that we're all caught up, let's fight Bloon. Yippee! Okay, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but it wasn't that hard, since I had 9 hours of sleep and actually came prepared with the right relics. But with that out of the way, I picked up the Bloon relic, even though it didn't matter, and extracted the phase relic for future use. Then after that, this happened. Is something else supposed to happen? Hello? Anyone home? Oh. Well, I don't think that was supposed to happen. Okay, that was weird. But it was allegedly fixed in 47.2, so hopefully nobody will experience that anymore. But speaking of the patch, it was a complete bombshell for this video. I had made a completely different outro for this section, because to be honest, I was a little on the fence whether or not I would recommend it. The entirety of the footage used in this video was recorded just before and after the 47.1 update, in which I experienced day 1 how rough the scaling can be. Buffed fortified DDTs and bads on stage 2 aren't a joke, by the way. The latter of which you didn't see because it was a part of the Destroyer run. But after playing some runs yesterday, I can safely say that Ninja Kiwi has fixed most of the round scaling issues. Don't get me wrong, Legends still needs some polishing, since having beginner maps on final stage bosses are underwhelming to say the least. As I teased for a few seconds in the video, in the following run I faced a tier 5 Bloon on Dark Dungeons, which was a fun challenge, even though I had druids, destroyers and a god buffed Velociraptor. That's beside the point though. Ninja Kiwi also mentioned that they are considering of making larger changes in 48.0, namely a reduction in stages. But to give my 2 cents, I wasn't too bothered by the length of the campaign itself. It was more the time spent in red bloon encounters that was a problem. I understand most newer roguelikes tend to be faster paced, and can be beaten in less than an hour if you know what you're doing. However, some roguelikes I've played can take several hours or more depending on what you choose to do. If you were lucky enough to have played a clone run and entered the Gungeon, you will understand where I'm coming from. But back to Rogue Legends, it takes me about an hour a stage while taking the medium length track, which feels about right to me compared to the 2 to 3 hour chunks I was playing before. I may expand my thoughts in a future video, but for now I do recommend Rogue Legends as of 47.2, since most of the bad parts like scaling and unbalanced relics are gone. But it's completely understandable why you wouldn't want to purchase Legends right now, considering it can be changed at any given point of time. Otherwise, that is all I have to say. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.